ICE isn't just raiding buildings anymore. They're stopping cars on the road, detaining people in groups, and deporting whole groups of migrants.
We got one running across. Northbound, northbound.
A man ran from the Florida Highway Patrol after being pulled over for a traffic violation.
This campaign has ICE stopping cars during regular traffic checks, even in places like LA, causing panic in immigrant communities.
It is an example that should be followed by other states. Under a federal law called 287G, 250 members of local law enforcement worked with ICE to identify suspects and arrest them. The governor, though, is furious over an order from a federal judge in Miami who says that local law enforcement is not allowed to arrest suspected illegals who enter Florida, despite a new law that declares that a misdemeanor. Instead, she says those arrests have to be made by federal agents.
A man was pulled over for traffic violation, and upon asking about his migrant status, he chose to run away, but the officers did arrest him.
A man ran from the Florida Highway Patrol after being pulled over for a traffic violation. When his legal status was questioned, he took off.
Come on out. Get out here right now. I see your hands. Come on out.
He was caught hiding in a nearby neighborhood shed. He was previously convicted for unlawful possession of a firearm and assaulting an officer, according to Border Patrol.
With the announcement of the new campaign to remove migrants from America, officials now have the right to stop vehicles anywhere and question their immigrant status and make arrests if they fail to answer it.
For the first time, Florida troopers have the ability to question a person's immigration status on the side of the road. That wasn't always the case.
Every day, Florida Highway Patrol troopers would interact with people that were most likely here unlawfully, and there was nothing that we could do as state law enforcement officers.
Now, FHP is the only state agency in the nation trained and acting in partnership with federal immigration agents under what is known as the 287G agreement.
They even pulled over a van on the Florida highway, and that van contained several immigrants with criminal records.
The van and trailer was originally pulled over for speeding, but Florida Highway Patrol officers say all 11 passengers are undocumented and now being detained.
Before the sun was even up, troopers had a total of 30 people in custody.
That's just here on a small stretch of highway in Hillsborough County, Tampa, Florida.
Within a morning, they were out of capacity to hold more undocumented immigrants, not just in Florida, but nationwide as well.
Although the operation could have lasted much longer, FHP said it was over within an hour because they were at capacity. They didn't have any more room to hold undocumented migrants. So, guys, this begs the question about detention space, not only here in Florida, but nationwide.
Dana Marie, I mean, how great is that? Sometimes you go on ride-alongs and nothing happens.
Exactly.
And you get exactly what they were looking for.
Foot chase.
It was a wild morning, guys, let me tell you, watching them all jump into action. But we were happy to be able to bring it to you this morning.
What happens if you said everyone in that van was illegal, they're detained? What happens next?
So then if they have final removal orders, they will be processed to be deported. And then if not, they will go through due process, the immigration judge, and then the process goes from there. So again, it's a lot about, yes, the mission is to find undocumented migrants, but then to keep them and have capacity space, that's the next step. And I know Governor Ron DeSantis has sent a plan to DHS to expand that in the state, and they're just waiting on some approvals.
ICE has partnered with several authorities for a quicker and smoother process for expedited removal of immigrants.
You got a guy with a weapons charge that's running through traffic, and then he goes and hides in a garage. That could have been a terrible situation. You don't know what the guy has on him. He's running for a reason because he knows that he's going to be deported. Every single state should be working with federal and law enforcement to get these people out of the country. These are people that already have criminal records, so they already committed crimes. The first crime was coming to the country illegally, then they came here and committed more crimes. They got to go.
Right, so there's nothing about it. The illegal immigration that went into the sanctuary cities was by the tens of thousands thanks to Joe Biden. And now when the price tag comes in, it costs New York, they estimate, over the last few years, $7 billion to house them, to feed them. And it turns out thousands of which have criminal records coming in and committed crimes once they got here. So it's just outrageous what's happening, and nothing's happening with these major cities to change their policy.
Well,
These undocumented immigrants had criminal records back in their country, and once they got into America, they continued to commit crimes in these sanctuary cities. Even around 40 Chinese undocumented immigrants were detained by the ICE.
They say right now that police have detained 40 Chinese migrants after they were discovered in the back of 2 separate vans in Coral Gables, Florida. The bust happened at Old Cutler Road and Kendall Drive. That was around 8:30 a.m. local time, so about an hour ago. It's unclear, they say, if a traffic stop led to the discovery or if authorities had prior knowledge of the migrants' whereabouts. 7 Sky Force, their helicopter there, did hover above the scene where police cruisers blocked in the white van that was transporting the migrants. We are working to get some of that video for you from WSVN. Trees are obstructing the aerial view, but several people were seen sitting on the side of the road awaiting further instructions from law enforcement. Now, it's important to note that 2 weeks ago, 31 Chinese migrants were discovered in a U-Haul van along a road there near Ridgewood Road that is also in Coral Gables. Detectives said a security guard tipped off authorities saying there was a possible kidnapping in that area, and that is when agents discovered and found the 31 Chinese nationals. Again, that was 2 weeks ago. We're told that 5 people were taken into custody, and it's still unclear whether that was a smuggling or human trafficking incident. But again, today, as you can see in this post coming in from WSVN, police detaining 40 Chinese migrants after they were discovered in the back of 2 separate vans in Coral Gables, Florida.
During these fast-paced illegal immigrant crackdown, a case came out where, as per the family, a family was detained on the basis of their color. Let's get into that.
Bill, this is now the reality of many families.
That's right, and it puts a human face on the immigration crackdown we've seen here in Middle Tennessee and across the country. The immigrant involved is, by all accounts, a 46-year-old family man who had called this area home for a quarter of a century.
We've been together since 2009. We married in 2013 and started our family after that. He's a wonderful father, a wonderful guy.
When Chelsea White sees these photos of her husband, Hilario Martinez Garcia, she sees a hardworking man who crossed the border from Mexico more than 25 years ago, eventually settling down to raise a family. A man who was supporting her and their 3 children with a 4th on the way. That was before President Trump's immigration crackdown, with the help of the Tennessee Highway Patrol, tore their family apart.
I never imagined him being gone. I figured, we was good. I figured they was looking for criminals, like Trump said. I figured that they would run his name, see that he's not a criminal, and that was it. I didn't think that he was ever going to be taken by ICE.
They were coming back home, and they stopped at a checkpoint, which was also set up to help ICE find out illegal immigrants, where the husband was arrested.
Chelsea and Hilario were stopped last month at a THP sobriety checkpoint in Robertson County as they headed back home from a cleaning job. But this checkpoint was also designed to help ICE snare undocumented immigrants. Chelsea was driving, and she says the interaction with the state trooper was at first cordial.
And he asked, have you had anything to drink or smoke tonight? I said, no, sir, we have not. He said, you're good to go.
That is, she says, until one of the officers spotted her husband inside and asked the couple to step out of the vehicle.
He just came to the window, looked in, and seen him and asked us to pull over to the side.
Was there anything distinctive about him that would have made them want to pull him out?
No.
Other than
the color of his skin.
There on the spot, ICE agents took Hilario into custody. They wouldn't let Chelsea say goodbye, and she would not hear from him for a week. That night, she says, for the first time ever, their children went to bed without their father.
Due to some similar cases where innocent immigrants were detained without any proper investigation, protests around Florida are on the rise.
Yeah, that rally underway right now, and it's continuing to grow. This group has slowly grown over the last hour or so. You're watching them live right now as they really get started this afternoon. There's about 100 people here, and they picked the Orange County Jail for this demonstration for a reason. It's because they oppose the collaboration that we've seen between local counties and cities across Florida and ICE. At last check, about 200 people are in the Orange County Jail and ICE detainers. And this group says local taxpayer dollars should be used for other things, like our transportation and housing issues, for example. Now, the group marching now is Gathering here on a day Governor Ron DeSantis is once again making headlines for the immigration enforcement efforts in Florida. This morning, he announced 1,100 illegal immigrants were taken into custody during a week-long operation in April.
Immigrants' rights activists and locals have come out to protest against the ICE and are demanding to solve their transportation and housing issues rather than these brutal arrests. This video that was released sparked more conflict with the locals and the ICE.
Shows some of those arrests. The governor also talked about a plan to bring the Florida National Guard into the fold of these operations in a much bigger way, giving National Guard members the authority to serve as immigration judges so the process of deportations can move along even faster. Some of these advocates today talked about the speed at which everything is moving and their concerns with it.
And what we're asking is for due process.
If you've seen these stops, drop a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated.